Hey everyone, welcome. I'm Naomi, and today I have a yoga practice to help you strengthen your knees. So when it comes to strengthening your knees, there's a little bit more involved than just working your knees. In fact, in order to help support your knees, you actually have to think about the spaces above and below your knee joints. So you've got to work on your hips a little bit and create some more movement and mobility there, as well as stability in your ankles. Okay, now there is a component with your knees as well, but those are the 2 points that we're going to focus on today while doing some good, strong work for your knees. So you're going to need a chair or something that you can hold onto. You could do this without a chair. You could do it without giving yourself a little bit more support. But since we are working with a little bit of balance, I want to make sure that we take the balance out of it completely so that you don't have to worry about wobbling and just can be completely supported and work specifically on your hips, your knees, and your ankles. Okay, so let's get started. Come on up to stand. And if you're not already standing, coming up to stand, and you can grab your chair. And I'm going to start with the chair so that I'm at a higher point with the chair. You might want to go lower. You can walk your hands down it. That's sort of the benefit of using a chair that's like a straight back chair or a folding chair. But I want you to place your hands on top of the chair, feet about as wide apart as your hips, maybe a little bit wider, and just bend your knees, dig down into your heels, and take your butt back. Now this is really important. So the tendency when we bend our knees is actually to swing the hips forward, and that's going to put a lot more pressure on the fronts of your knees. So instead, bend your knees and take your butt way back. And when you do that, press into your heels and then straighten your legs. And just do this a few more times. So it's like you're doing assisted squats. Dig through your heels, lower your butt and push it back, and then come all the way back up. Bend your knees, press evenly through your foot, ball of your big toe, inner heel, ball of your baby toe and your outer heel, push back up. And then again, as you bend down, dig in through your whole foot, send your butt way back, and then push back up. And pay attention not only to how you're going down, but how you're coming back up. So knees bend, hips go back, and then push back up. One more time, bend your knees, butt goes way back, press evenly through your feet, and then as you push back up, keep your knees tracking in line with your ankles. Okay? Now, you're going to do a similar thing just on one leg. So shift your weight into your left leg. Lift your right foot up, and you can tuck it a little bit behind your left knee. Now, this is not like a curtsy squat or anything like that, or a Shiva squat, it's sometimes called in yoga. What you're doing is just lifting one leg away from the floor so you can isolate the action of one leg. So I'm going to turn slightly on the diagonal so you can see a little bit better my left leg. So right leg is up, holding onto your chair, bend your knee. Your right knee will slide down a little bit, and you want to make sure your knee stays in line with your toes. And then push back up from your heel. Okay, bend your knee and push back up. Bend your knee and push back up. Bend your knee, take your butt back a little bit. And as you push back up, push through your whole entire foot. A few more times. Bend your knee. It's going to feel like the work is happening more with your hamstrings, and that's okay, and your glutes. Push back up. And then one more time, bend your knee. And then push back up. And come on back to center, and you're going to do those squats again. So bend your knees, hips go down, and back. And push back up. Bend your knees, dig through your heels, push your butt back so you're not shifting forward, and back up. Bend your knees, butt goes back. Press evenly through your feet and use that same pressure as you push back up. Bend your knees, hips go back and back up. One more time, just like that. Bend your knees, dig through your heels, push your butt back, and then push down through your feet to come back up. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing you did on the first side. So shift into your right leg, left leg goes up. Okay, same idea. You don't have to tuck your knee behind your left knee behind your right knee. You can just let it hang next to your knee. The reason that you're using the chair is just to make it easier. You could certainly do this without the chair, and that would ask a lot more of your knee. So you can try it with one hand and back up. Bend your knee, take your butt back, push through your whole foot as you come back up. Dig in through your heel, right? It's like you're trying to slide your ankle back in place and push back up. Okay, press through your heel, dig back, and push back up. Keep spreading your toes too. Bend your knee, shift your hips back, and push back up. And one more time, just like that. Bend your knee, shift your butt back, and push back up, and then put your left foot down. And then one more time with those assisted squats. And if you want to go a little lower, if you can go a little bit lower, you could walk your hands down the side, or you could hold on to the front of the chair, lower your butt down, and push back up. And as you push back up, you're leaning a little bit more forward, right? You're not coming all the way back up to stand. You're holding onto the chair, knees are bent. Lower your butt down, dig through your heels, and then push, push, push your legs straight as you lean forward. Bend your knees, your butt goes back. And then as you push your legs straight, your torso will go forward. That's sort of what has to happen, right? If you're bending your knees and your butt goes back, when you push your legs straight, if you keep going back, you're going to be more at an angle. So you push your legs straight, and your torso comes forward. So a few more times. Bend your knees, dig in through your hips, and then push straight. And then one more time, bend your knees, shift your hips back, and then push back up, lengthen forward, and then root down through your legs to come all the way back up to stand. So you can do that sequence a few times in a row just to sort of create some strength in your quads, movement through your hips, and stability for your ankles, right? That's really what's happening there. And while you're doing that, your knee joint gets to work. And that's a really good thing for your knee joint, right? Getting your knee joint to work is good because that's what it's supposed to do. And you want to make sure that your knee is tracking in line with your ankle, particularly if you have any instability there. Okay? Now at the same time, we also need to teach the knee joint to be able to move laterally and to move in different directions. So that's the next thing that you're going to do. Now you can use a chair or you can use a block. I'm going to start with the chair out in front, and I'm going to do it so that you can see at least one side. And because it's a folding chair, hopefully you can see both sides pretty decently. There's no really easy way to film it where you can see perfectly while I'm holding on to something unless it was like a transparent chair. So legs are wider than your hips. Okay, and not too narrow wider than your hips either. You want them to be a good distance apart, much like you would do like Warrior Two. Okay, so the way you can measure that is to turn your left foot out, bend your left knee, and see if your left knee goes roughly to a 90-degree angle. And that's going to tell you about where you want to go. Now, make sure all 10 toes of both feet are pointing forward. You can hold onto your chair with one or both hands and bend your right knee and shift over to the right. Then push back up and bend over to the left. The shift to the left. Okay, now the tendency, and I will do this from the sides so that you can see, but the tendency is when we go to the side to shift forward. See that again? That weight going forward? That's going to put a lot more pressure in my knee. But if I can take my butt back and really press through my heel and go from side to side, butt goes back, push through my heel, butt goes back, push through my heel, then there's a lot less pressure on my knee joint, okay? So I'll stay from the side just so that it's a little bit more clear, okay? And you can rest your forearms on the top of the chair or place your hands there, but bend your right knee, shift over, and instead of going forward with your hips, take your hips back, dig down through your heel. And then come back through center, bend your left knee, and take your butt back. Okay, come on, back through center, bend your right knee, take your butt back. Back through center, take your butt back. And again, just sort of notice the tendency that as you go back through center, the tendency is your hips want to go forward as your right knee bends, want to go forward as your left knee bends, but instead, okay, legs are wide, shift over to the right, butt goes back, and then back through center, over to the left, butt goes back. Okay, now if you feel you've got really good balance here, I'll get that chair out of the way. I don't have a yoga block out here with me because I didn't plan ahead, but I do have something that is like a yoga block. You would think that if I was recording live that I would have these things handy, but I don't. I have my case for my mic, and it's the same width. So if you have a yoga block, you can use your yoga block for this. So you take it out in front of you, bend your right knee, and shift over to the right. Butt goes back. And then come back up, and you're leaning forward. Okay, so notice like the weight is going forward as I bend my knee, butt goes back. And then come back to center, my weight is forward, sort of like you're on the chair. Bend your right knee, butt goes back, and back through center, bend your left knee, butt goes back. And the more you work your hips in this way, the lower down you might be able to go. You really have to press through your heel and take your butt back as you do. So the objective is not necessarily, and you can keep going, the objective is not necessarily to get your butt all the way down on the ground. The objective is to move laterally, Last time to the left. Woo, back up to center. So that you start to feel, so it doesn't fall, so that you start to feel more of the movement through your hips. And instead of guiding the movement from your knees, you're guiding the movement more from your pelvis and from your hips, which is really where you want it, okay? So let's do one final standing pose to really work and target your knees, which is Warrior Two. Okay, so take your legs nice and wide, like they just were. Turn your left foot out. Right foot is going to stay parallel to the short edge of your mat. Now firm up your left leg, or right leg as much as you can. Press through your heels and squeeze in. Now, instead of bending your left knee, as you push through your right leg, start to lower your hips down. It's going to be slow. Dig into your left heel and lower your hips down. Okay, then straighten your left leg, slow, steady, keep your knee in line with your ankle. Okay, bend your left knee again, but think of it not as bending your left knee, but lowering your hips down. Dig through your left heel. You can have your hands at your hips just casually. And then push through your heel to straighten your leg. Hips go back up. One more time. Watch your left knee as you send your hips down. And then pause here. Squeeze in, heel to heel. Make your legs really strong. Squeeze in. Just take a breath. And even just this stability, holding this shape with your left knee at a 90-degree angle or as close to as you can, holding this shape is really working the muscles that connect to the ligaments around your knee that are creating some good stability there. And then push your left leg straight again and go to the other side. Turn your left foot in, right foot out. Okay? Now firm up your left legs. Make that left leg super strong. And you're going to bend your right knee, but again, think of it less as bending your right knee and more like your hips just start to go down. Your right knee will follow. Right, so keep your left leg strong. Hips go down. Your right knee follows. And then push your leg straight again. But watch your knee as it goes. So the tendency will be for like the knee to want to go in or out, usually in, sometimes out. And as you lower your hips and bend your knee, make sure that your knee is tracking in line with your ankle. And then leg goes straight again. Okay, one more time, just like that. Hips go straight down. Press through your heel and hold. And really squeeze in, like press through the inside edge of your right foot. Your heel in particular. Dig down through it. Maybe take your hips a little lower. Keep your left leg really strong. You should feel a lot of work here. It's not bad work. It's good work. If you feel a sharp pain, that's different. Your knee might be going past your ankle, might be going in or out. You can back up just a little. Take one more full breath in. Full breath out. Straighten your right leg. Turn your right foot in, and then just heel toe if you want. It's a little bit of a dance to get back to standing. Okay? So that's it. Those are some really simple exercises that you can do to help strengthen your knees and also along the way help create more mobility in your hips, create more support and steadiness in your ankles, and give you the ability to work your entire lower body, your legs from your hips down, to create more support for your knee joint and over time build more strength there. So hopefully this has been useful. If you have knees that need a little bit more support, let me know how you feel after taking this class and if it gave you exactly what you needed. If you need more for knees, let me know in the comments below and I will create something else to help support you there. But for now, thank you for hanging out with me on the yoga mat and I look forward to seeing you back again really soon. Until then, bye.